Why does everyone hate Denny Hamlin? Honestly, what is the reason? What is your reason for disliking / hating Denny Hamlin? No, this video is not directed towards you Denny Hamlin fans, the ones that are out there that have been supporting him since 2006. You guys are real ones. I'm definitely not one of them, but just to make this very clear, I'm not a Denny Hamlin fan. And if you actually go back to 2017,
go, you're good. No, what the? He dunked him. Shit.
I think that very clearly shows that I did not have very nice feelings for Mr. Hamlin when I was still rooting for drivers and everything. But we're going to try to answer that question today. Why does everybody hate Denny Hamlin? What is the reason? You know what? We're just going to start off with the first two. Very, very simple. A, he drives for Toyota. B, he drives for Joe Gibbs Racing. There you go. That's honestly two of the main reasons. If you don't know why that is, it's because NASCAR is America! Ah! What the? Is a calamity! So if you are not driving a Chevy or a Ford, which are both American-made companies, salute to the flag of the United States of America. And instead you drive a Japanese Toyota, then NASCAR fans, especially that are older, which let's get it clear, a lot of NASCAR fans are older, they are going to be like, I ain't rooting for no damn Yoder. Hell no. Them damn Toyotas. Back in my day, Dodge was the real one, baby. Over my dead body, will you ever see me rooting for a Toyota? Hell no, I don't care if your name is Dale Earnhardt Jr. If Dale Earnhardt Jr., if my hero ever drove a Toyota, but Jimmy Johnson drives one. Jimmy Johnson drives a Toyota? Yeah, Jimmy Johnson does drive a Toyota. How can he betray me? All jokes aside, I'm not very funny. I know that. You guys don't gotta tell me. But all jokes aside, there are more reasons as to why I feel like Denny Hamlin is so disliked. And we see this at the majority of racetracks, whether we just saw it at Michigan. He spins out by himself, and it honestly looks like when Jeff Gordon would crash at Talladega. That's genuinely what it looks like, because the fans go like, yeah, let's freaking go, Denny. So, but it's not like a Jeff Gordon or a Jimmy Johnson. This white boy, from California. It's not really that. I mean, Denny Hamlin from Virginia, but it's not like the whole California thing. He's going up against my Southern Dale Earnhardt. It's nothing like that. It's just a lot of people don't like him, and it's kind of unanimous. It's unanimous. It's unanimous. It's not like a certain group of people that just hate him. It's a lot of people. A lot of people, different age groups, different genders, male or female, doesn't matter. A lot of people do not like Denny Hamlin. And the thing is, I really wonder why, because a lot of the things he says honestly the truth, and whether the truth might piss people off, I don't know, but I don't feel like he's openly disrespecting anyone or anything. I mean, a lot of the things he says about NASCAR is what fans complain about, but they want drivers to talk more about it. But then when Denny Hamlin talks about it, it's like, no, not him, not your stupid podcast. No, we don't want to listen to your stupid podcast. No, not you. We want Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, again, Hendrick drivers, Chevy drivers, more of the popular drivers, and stuff like that. And that's another thing, is that, he does drive for Joe Gibbs Racing. And notoriously, Joe Gibbs Racing does not have a lot of fans. Again, Toyota's a reason, but in NASCAR history, the main team that most fans support is Hendrick Motorsports, whether that be because of the history of Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson, or even what I think is that when Dale Earnhardt Jr. went to Hendrick Motorsports, that gained them even more than what they could have ever imagined. It was when Gordon and Johnson were teamed up at Hendrick, it wasn't like Hendrick Motorsports was the most dominant fan base, in my opinion. There wasn't really social media, and I was a kid, so I can't really tell you. But, Dale Earnhardt Jr. at DEI, obviously, that's the powerhouse. But when Dale Earnhardt Jr. moved over to Hendrick Motorsports, I feel like the after effect of that, also Junior Motorsports basically aligned with Hendrick Motorsports. So not only do you have the powerhouse that is Hendrick Motorsports and the stardom that was that, then you add Dale Earnhardt Jr. to the mix, and all of his fans then venture over to Hendrick Motorsports. And now it's basically, if you don't drive for Hendrick Motorsports, you are not going to be the most popular driver, especially when Chase Elliott, the son of Bill Elliott, is now there, and Kyle Larson, one of the greatest of all time in terms of driving talent, is now there. And you have the history of Gordon and the history of Johnson and the history of Mark Martin as well, and Terry Labonte, and all these amazing drivers. And so when Joe Gibbs Racing comes around, Joe Gibbs Racing was always looked at like, you always have a face and a heel. We talk about professional wrestling, a face and a heel. The face has always been Hendrick Motorsports, and the heel has always been Joe Gibbs Racing. So as soon as Denny Hamlin walks into 2006 JGR, which, by the way, they're not driving Toyotas, they're driving Chevys at that point. Once you drive for Joe Gibbs Racing, you think of Tony Stewart when he was all angry. You think of Kyle Busch, who has always been hated his entire career, until he got old and became, like Dale Jarrett. Now everyone actually kind of likes him because he's a rebel. You are going to not like Joe Gibbs Racing because of what they stand for, apparently. Ty Gibbs drives for Joe Gibbs Racing. Oh, Ty Gibbs, he's just the grandson of Joe Gibbs. He doesn't deserve that ride. It is what it is. You just got to deal with it. So in a weird way, if Denny Hamlin was driving for Hendrick Motorsports, I don't think he gets anywhere near what he gets now. I think if Denny Hamlin drives for Hendrick Motorsports from the start, I think Denny Hamlin is probably the most popular driver right now. I think everything he says on his podcast, everyone would be going crazy. He'd probably have a championship by now as well. But everyone would be like, yeah, Denny Hamlin, yeah. But because he's been driving for Joe Gibbs Racing and because he's aligned with Toyota, unfortunately, it really is as simple as that sometimes. A lot of fans just kind of make up their mind. What are some other reasons? Well, the championship. A lot of people put Denny Hamlin and the way he talks and the way he tries to advocate as one of the leaders in the garage area, the leader of the drivers, who will speak his mind. But then it's like if I want to make this comparison, it's like if Kevin Durant never went to the Warriors and he was still ringless. He was, still leading OKC, but he still never won a ring. And then he tried to talk over LeBron James and say, I'm the leader of basketball. Well, no one's going to respect him because he never won a championship. Well, Denny Hamlin has never won a NASCAR Cup Series championship. And so when he talks and when he says NASCAR should do this, fans should behave this way, NASCAR should do that, fans, they, as simple as it is, they don't really respect what he has to say because he hasn't won a championship when a lot of his teammates have won championships and a lot of other drivers have won championships. But he, the quote unquote, wants to be the leader of NASCAR. He has not won a championship, and fans hold that against him. I do not. The one chance he really had, in my opinion, was 2010. Just taking a look at his stats from 2010, he had 8 wins on the season, 14 top 5s, 18 top 10s with an average finish of 12.9. That is absolutely incredible. 8 wins on a season. He finishes second in the points. And look at his chase for the Cup results that didn't get him a championship. Look at this. Richmond, 1st. New Hampshire, 2nd. Dover, 9th. Kansas, 12th. Auto Club, 8th. Charlotte, 4th. Martinsville, 1st. Talladega, 9th. Texas, 1st. Phoenix, 12th. Then Homestead, 14th. So his worst finish in 10 races was 14th. He did finish outside the top 10 3 times, but that was 12th, 12th, and 14th. He won 2 races in the chase, and he finished 2nd, and also he finished 4th as well. So he had some very consistent, did extremely well, still didn't win the championship. You know why? Because there was a guy named Jimmy goddamn Johnson. And Jimmy Johnson in 2010 had 6 wins, 17 top 5s, 23 top 10s with an average finish of 12.1. And if you look at his final 10 races, he finished 3rd at Richmond. New Hampshire, he finished 25th, and everyone was like, oh, that's it. But then look at the, Jesus Christ, Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus from 2006 to 2010. If you were not there, you don't understand. It's just ridiculous. 1st at Dover, 2nd at Kansas, 3rd at Auto Club, 3rd at Charlotte, 5th at Martinsville, 7th at Dega, 9th at Texas, 5th at Phoenix, 2nd at Homestead. Doesn't finish outside the top 10 at all in the final 8 races of the season, and he goes on to win his record 5th straight championship. And everyone says, Denny Hamlin choked that championship. No, he did not. He's going up against someone who won 4 championships in a row, against an organization that finished 1, 2, 3 in the championship battle with Gordon, Martin, and Johnson the year prior in 2009. The fact that Denny Hamlin won 8 races in 2010 is a miracle in itself. He was incredible in 2010. There was one guy that was better than him. Do I really hold that one against him? I mean, when you look back at it, you really shouldn't. He was absolutely amazing.
What year was it you went to Homestead against the 48 in the old system?
2010.
People forget. It's so funny how quickly people forget about how good that 48 team was then, and how strong Jimmy was.
They executed like they just would wait on you to make a mistake.
They'd wear away at you.
And then his other championship battles all come in what is the 2014, championship format, which the single race. And listen, if you don't win a championship in this format, I don't care who you are. I'm not going to hold that against you. We see different champions almost every year in this format, and it is too random. And you know what? The fact that he has not won a championship, in my opinion, does not deter from how great he actually is, just because for the last 10 years of his career, so the majority of his career, because he started in 2006, the majority of his career, he has not really had, in my opinion, a fair championship format to really critique him on the amount of championships he has. Obviously, 2010 is the one that probably haunts him the most, and he didn't really compete for a championship in 2007, 2008, 2009, 2011, 2012, 2013. He wasn't really there. He was good, he was great, but he wasn't really dominant. So, it's unfortunate, and his dominant years come like post 2014, going up against Kevin Harvick and stuff like that, and then he makes the championship. I don't know exactly how many times he's actually made the championship race. I'm guessing around 3 or 4, and he's missed out on all of them, which is, at a certain point, yeah, but again, it's a single race. I'm not going to hold that against him. Another reason, as I pointed out earlier in this video, is he has gone against Hendrick drivers. Chase Elliott, one of them. Alex Bowman, another one of them. Even in 2010, going up against Jimmy Johnson. Now, Jimmy Johnson was disliked by a lot of NASCAR fans because of the dominance. So it's not like it was just Hendrick Motorsports. If you guys really think Jimmy Johnson was a fan favorite back between 2006 and 2010, no, he was not. He was not a fan favorite. People were sick of him. People were calling him cheaters or cheating and cheaters, the whole team and everything. If race fans don't like winners. So imagine winning 5 in a row. If that happened nowadays, if someone won 5 championships in a row and had that dominant stretch that he had in 2006 to 2010 in the modern day from like 2024 to 2029, oh my God, the amount of hate that driver would get. Because, hey, race fans, NASCAR fans, they don't like winners. They want variety. But he has had his run-ins with Alex Bowman, Shark Track Racing.
He's just a hack. He's just an absolute hack. He gets his ass kicked by his teammates every week. It's just, he's terrible.
And of course, he had his run-in 2017 with Chase Elliott. And so, if you're not like me and you don't really care about that anymore, if you're still a Chase Elliott fan, you're never gonna forgive Denny Hamlin for absolutely dumping your favorite driver when he was trying to win a championship or make the championship race in 2017. Again, the whole Joe Gibbs Racing versus Hendrick Motorsports dynamic, heel versus face, villain versus hero. Someone has to play the villain role, and over the course of NASCAR history, Joe Gibbs Racing in the last 20 years, with Kyle Busch, with Tony Stewart, with Denny Hamlin, oddly enough, Carl Edwards is probably the most liked Joe Gibbs Racing driver ever. Someone has to play that role. Denny Hamlin plays that role. But then we get to the final thing, which is, in my opinion, the weirdest, and it is his podcast, Actions Detrimental with Denny Hamlin, where every week he talks about the previous NASCAR weekend and he puts his opinions on. Now, this is the one thing where I really get confused to why NASCAR fans really dislike him with this podcast. A lot of people who listen to this podcast, they literally listen to it to either hate on him, to reply to his tweet, to hate on him, and I'm just like, what he says most of the time, at least 95% of the time, is true. He is someone talking from a driver and now an owner perspective. So he has all the perspectives, really, that I feel like fans would want to listen to. In a weird way, this podcast, while it has turned, some people into fans of him, it has actually, when you watch him at the racetrack, whether it be driver introductions, if you go to a race, or reactions to him crashing during a race, it's like more than ever. people really hate this guy. And I feel like the podcast is actually part of it, which I don't understand. Maybe it's because he speaks his mind and everything. I will say that the way he talks, sometimes when he talks about a certain topic, it's kind of hard to explain, but he wants to make sure that he sounds right. So like the way he says something, it's like, I'm right. It's not like it's very hard to explain. It is like a little bit of an ego thing, but it's more he is talking passionately and it comes across as if he's talking arrogantly.
When we designed a car that is worse than it's ever been in traffic. I asked him 3 times. 3 times I asked John Probst before this car came out, are you sure it's right? Because you haven't put it around any other cars during these preseason testing. And then finally in December, before they launched the car, they put it on track with another car and they see that it's, we got a problem. Well, no kidding. You had 2 years to figure this out. God, it's frustrating as hell.
So it comes across a little arrogant, right? But he's just passionate, and he feels like he understands what a driver perspective or an owner perspective is, and he has these opinions, and he will talk it. The way he says it comes off pretty strong, and that might turn some people off. I can understand that part because I feel like I do the same thing sometimes, where I talk passionately or I talk strong about an opinion that I have, and it can come off as I'm right, you're wrong. Like it comes off as egotistical or a little bit of arrogance when you're not really trying to do that. It's just you're trying to get your point across. You put this microphone in front of you and you start talking. I tell my friends all the time, when you meet me in real life, I have a certain personality. I'm introverted. I'm pretty quiet. It is what it is. You put this microphone in front of me and my voice immediately raises. It immediately, everything gets a little bit louder, a little bit more brash. And it's not because I'm trying to. It's just that, I don't know, maybe I got to make sure my voice is getting recognized in this thing or something. But there's like a YouTube or a podcast personality to a person. And then there's a normal, everyday life type person. So if you talk to Denny Hamlin, if you have a conversation with Denny Hamlin on the racetrack, or if you're at the racetrack, I feel like he'll be very nice to you and he won't kind of talk the way he does on a podcast where everything is a little bit elevated. I'm not making excuses for him. I'm just kind of saying this is kind of what happens when you put a microphone in front of you. Everything kind of gets elevated. You become a little bit stronger with your opinions. And in my opinion, Denny Hamlin doesn't say anything that's kind of crazy. He says a lot of things that a lot of fans agree with. That's why he's getting a lot of fans. But the people that hate him, it doesn't matter what he says, they're still going to hate him. So in my opinion, that is why people dislike him, whether it be the Joe Gibbs Racing thing, the Toyota thing, the not winning a championship thing, wrecking your favorite driver thing, whatever it might be, the podcast as well. All this kind of adds up over the last 18 years of his career, and he has never actually gotten the face turn yet, where a driver gets older and fans then start becoming a fan of him. It happened with Jeff Gordon, obviously, but Gordon already had his fans, but then a lot of people kind of turned around on him. It's kind of already happened to Kyle Busch. It happened to Jimmy Johnson when he stopped winning all those races, but it has not happened to Denny Hamlin yet, and I don't know if it ever will happen to Denny Hamlin. It even happened to Tony Stewart. Well, the Joe Gibbs, a lot of people love Tony Stewart towards the end. When will it happen for Denny Hamlin? Will it ever happen for Denny Hamlin? Will he ever get the fans' admiration and respect? I feel like fans respect him, but they just don't like him. Will that ever happen? Will there ever become a time where Denny Hamlin actually becomes, in the majority of fan base's eyes, liked, and he actually becomes a favorite driver where people actually cheer him? I actually don't think it's ever going to happen. I don't think he's going to ever get that face turn. And unfortunately, when he does eventually retire and walk away, I think people are going to miss him. I feel like Denny Hamlin is probably one of the most underrated and disrespected drivers, honestly, of all time. I understand he's never won a championship, and I think people already understand that he's probably the best driver ever to not win a championship, but he is, this guy is so good. To put up the numbers he has put up in modern NASCAR history, and the guy has 54 wins, man. And from 2006 to 2024, not when Gordon was dominating in the late 90s and early 2000s, where NASCAR still had single file restarts and no overtimes and stuff like that. So it was a little bit easier and more predictable to predict a race. You know, Jimmy Johnson, also he competed in the era against Jimmy Johnson when Jimmy Johnson was in his prime, where Jimmy racked up so many wins and still competing against Gordon and all these guys. The fact that he has 54 wins while competing against some of the greatest NASCAR drivers who have racked up so many wins, it's really incredible, man. It's really like he is definitely one of the greats of all time when it comes to NASCAR. But yeah, he's extremely disrespected in my opinion, and a lot of people don't like him. Will he ever get that face turn? Do you hate Denny Hamlin? And why do you hate Denny Hamlin? That's what I want to know. Guys, we'll talk to you later. Peace out.